Hello, my name is Riker Swenson, and this is the part 2 of our video series on designing a website wireframe using Figma. In the first part, you will have set up 2 devices to start designing your wireframe. Now that we have our devices selected, we are able to start designing our website. Now, we should keep in mind all of the things that were required for us to include in our website wireframe. This includes our header, body, and footer. Knowing that, there's some great tools in Figma that we are able to use to make this easier. So first, let's hover over the device that we're wanting to start developing for, which should be a mobile device. Once we select that, we're going to head over to this right side of the screen. Here, we're going to notice layout grid. We're going to click on that, and then we're again going to click on the grid. We're going to change this to columns. We can change the column amount, color, width, margin, and gutter to an item that we are comfortable with and that we like designing with. For me, I personally like to set my count to 4 so that I have 4 columns. I like to change my margin to 20, and I like to change my gutter to 16 when it comes to mobile device designing. So once we have something we like, we can click off. And since we just did that, I highly encourage you to do the same for your desktop device. So here, again, we'll go to Layout Grid, change the grid to a column. For our desktop, I personally like to set it to 12 columns. I like to set the margin to 24, and I keep the gutter the same at 16. And once I click off of this, I now have some columns that are going to help me visualize where things are going to be laid out on my site. Here's a few tips. You can adjust the size of your workspace to be able to easily work in this space. For a mobile view, you often need to scroll to see the site. You can only see one chunk at a time. You can easily elongate your mobile device so that you can showcase where everything is going to be laid out on your site, as it is often needed to scroll. This could be the same for your desktop application. You may need more surface area if the user will be scrolling through your site to access all of the things contained in your site. As I mentioned before, we are going to need things in our website that are required, such as header, body contents, and the footer. To display these, we can simply come up here to where we see this rectangle, click the drop down, and we can select shapes or lines, arrows, images even. For this, we're going to use a rectangle, and we're going to drag it across. Here, we can then change the fill colors to represent the color we may want our website to be. You can adjust to fit the contents that you would like in your header. I recommend making sure that you label every item that you place within your website. You can do this by clicking on this text icon at the top left, dragging and dropping a box, and then typing anything you would like. From there, you can highlight what you typed. You can come over to the text and you can change the size. You can change the centering. You can change the color of the text. You can do many, many things in Figma, and I highly encourage that you play around while designing your site. Here is an example of what a wireframe could look like. Here you can see that on the left-hand side is where I began to design my mobile view. I kept it simple at first, just designing where I wanted each thing to be displayed. I then continued working on my design, adding in the colors that my site may contain once it is finished. Here, you can have a better idea of what the site will look like when it is finished.